Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And Deputy Speaker, when I think about the foundations of liberalism, I think about the importance of the empowerment of the individual, the economic and social democratisation of power to unleash the full potential of the 25 million citizens of this country. But we also need to make sure that we steward and take responsibility for our environment and to ensure the inheritance that our children and grandchildren and their successors receive is as good, if not better, than we receive. And that is why we have always taken a strong view on the importance of environmental stewardship as Liberals. I remind members that the foundation of the Australian Greenhouse Office occurred under the Howard government. Numerous environmental groups were founded under the Fraser government. And of course, the Abbott, the Morrison and the Turnbull governments have also continued in this important tradition, because we believe that we should steward the next generation an environment that's healthy and prosperous as the one we inherited. Now, of course, we know the challenge of rising greenhouse gas emissions means that as one of the nations that has harnessed the potential of our natural endowment, we need to repurpose that and refocus that so that we can have not just an industrial revolution of the past, but a clean revolution of the future. And we want to see an opportunity where Australia's economy continues to grow, continues to clean, and continues to provide the jobs and opportunities for the next generation of Australians. Now, we have a very clear plan about achieving that. Under the Abbott government, we ratified the Paris Agreement, and critically, as part of that process, we committed Australia to a net zero target in the second half of this century. And right now, we are focused on what we need to do to achieve it by that target and, where possible, to bring it forward. Not just in line with the international community, that's obviously an important part of it, but because it comes to the heart of who we are as a country. I have people who sometimes say, oh, we're only a small percentage of global emissions, what does it matter? And my response is always the same. If you as an individual litter, of course you're only a small share of the litter of the nation. But the whole principle of liberalism is about the idea of empowerment through responsibility. And that if we had 25 million people taking responsibility for themselves, it should be the principle by which we wish to govern a nation. Responsibility, responsibility, responsibility. So while we encourage other countries to follow our lead, we still have a responsibility ourselves to do what we know to be right. And so we've obviously set out a target for the second half of the century under the Paris Agreement. We're now seeking to implement it. But critically, what we're doing, Deputy Speaker, is we are not doing it in the same way that so many other countries are doing it, and those on the other side of this chamber have sought to do it. We are not trying to do it through taxes, because we know taxes don't work. They only work as a mechanism by which government can raise more revenue for themselves rather than targeting measures and driving technology to be part of the solution. As many people have often remarked, the end of horsepower didn't end because we ran out of horses or we've ran out of places to put their droppings or leavings. It was because we innovated new technology like cars. And of course, the next generation of cars will be part of our transport-based solution to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions while continuing to drive the Australian economy. Renewables are a critical part of the discussion of moving from the traditions of fossil fuels to new energy generation. The investment we're making in Snowy 2.0 is a critical part of being the battery of the nation. And of course, we should not remove from the table important energy generation, which can be a critical part of a competitive, low-carbon baseload future, particularly nuclear power. Anybody who wants to do that in a discussion is only leading themselves to say they don't actually care about climate change, don't actually care about reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, and don't actually care about the future jobs of Australians. And the record by taking this approach is unambiguously clear. We smashed our Kyoto-era targets by 459 million tonnes because we brought the future forward. Australia's emissions have fallen faster than G20 average. We've seen emissions drop between 2005 and 2018 by 13%. By comparison, you have so many other countries, including New Zealand, who can only promise targets so long as they exclude their sectors. If we want agriculture, if we want investment in agriculture to reduce its emissions profile, in transport, in energy generation, land use and the rest, technology is going to be the solution, and at every step the Morrison government is about building the future of the nation and its competitive future.